1-2 in the place to be. This is a very unique interview. We are actually 4 days out of the monumental McRae All-Stars gathering and conversation that took place at the Minnesota Historical Society on Saturday, February 17th.
Man, I'm feeling great, man. I'm feeling hey, man, just to get back with my old friends, man. Man, they went beyond what I can imagine, man. You know what I'm saying? Ralph put on a great show here today.
McRae All-Stars was big to my life, big to my upbringing, something very big to my dad. This is a team that he carried in his heart.
All right, hey, Mr. Crowder, hey, we love you still, man. Hey, you were the one. You made it happen for us.
In the ongoing documentation of this fabulous story of young boys traveling in the first AAU basketball team in the state of Minnesota, winning national titles in the early 1980s through the mid-80s, including players from the inner city communities, historic black communities of South Minneapolis, North Minneapolis, and St. Paul's Rondo neighborhood. We are bringing you a very exclusive interview experience with Marc Riley. We call him the encyclopedia of the McRae All-Stars experience, and we hope that you enjoy this 5-part series. This is part 1 of 5, and we will go right now to an exclusive interview with Marc Riley. First of all, how did you even begin to get started to be involved with McRae All-Stars?
Well, it was, I think it was summer, maybe 80, 81, 82, 83, I can't remember, but myself, Ricardo Robinson, a couple other brothers, we went over south to a outside gym because we're used to playing at the hospitality house on 12th and 12th and Logan over north, and it was me, Ricardo, I think maybe Dale Smith and all that. We go over to McRae. We play on this outside gym, and all that. We're familiar with the
outside court.
Outside court
on 46th
in Chicago, right?
Yeah.
Which is basically the northwest corner of McRae.
Mm-hmm.
So as we do that, we play, I think we won the tournament and whatnot. So guy comes up to me. I think my mom and dad were there. But prior to that, I think it was Tim Cheatham, yourself, Ralph Jr.
Yeah. Scott
Anderson.
From Washburn.
Yeah, Nevin, I believe.
Nevin, yep.
Yeah, and everybody's like
Henry Rucker.
Yeah, Henry Rucker.
Yep.
And you guys are like, hey, dude, you're going to Chicago with us. So as an 11, 12, 13-year-old, I'm like, man, I ain't going to Chicago. They be gangbanging down there. So Ralph Sr., your dad, the legend, he talks to my dad. He said, I want to take him to Chicago with us. And so I think, I'm talking, not unbeknownst to us, the conversation is going on over there with him and my mom and dad. And the conversation is going on with us. So we get back in the cars and go back north. And next thing I know, my dad tells me I'm going to Chicago to play in the tournament. So I'm like, okay.
So to just kind of rewind what you just said, this would have been the outdoor basketball tournament, I believe was called the McRae Invitational.
Yes.
And this is when the South Shore Y, from the South Shore side of Chicago,
right,
came to Minneapolis for this outdoor tournament. At that time, you played, correct me if I'm wrong, it was for John Gray.
John Gray, let me see. I know John Gray, Bruce Sorrells. Them were two of my coaches at Hospitality House. So, yeah, I never played for her, but, yeah, possibly with John Gray, who happens to be a cousin.
And just for historical purposes, at this time, you guys had those T-shirts with the Northwestern Bell logo on them.
Yep, the old uniform, yeah. Yep, the gray, no, I think the light brown, light doodle brown, yep.
Yep. So this would have been your first entry into McRae because technically you were recruited from the Hospitality House team with Ricardo, right?
Yes, yep.
Were there any other players off of that team that was recruited for the McRae at that time?
I believe Dale Smith.
Dale Smith was on your squad?
I think so because I know me, Dale, and Ricardo lived over north. When we got our original, not original, our extension core. So it was myself, Dale, Ricardo, I think, or either Dale came along because he was good with that defense. So your dad saw that in him and brought him along. He either was on that team or he seen him somewhere else and brought him along.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So you were recruited. Tell us about the first kind of practice or what that was like transitioning from the house to McRae. How did that feel for you? What was your take on that time period? What were your expectations?
Well, at that point in time, you know, we're like, sixth, seventh grade or trying to get into some, you don't know it at the time, but you're evolving. So at this point in time, your dad already has the game slash knowledge to try to get us, basically take mold us into organized basketball players, which would become, competitive basketball players. So, at the hospitality house, you had tournaments and all that. We were familiar with that, but you know, unbeknownst to us, we're about to go to a whole nother level.
And what was that like between then and going to a whole nother level? Like, what did that look like? I mean, how many practice? Do you remember how many practices, or was it just like immediately to a whole nother level?
Well, okay, so I say this: we start practicing a lot more. It's our he would gather the whole team. He had a van with a hole in the floor.
Yeah, yeah. Was this the winter time or was
No,
it?
no, this is summertime because remember
Okay.
we played outside,
Yeah.
and then we start doing. But see, like I said, we're playing north side, south side. So over north, we're playing Jerry Gamble's, North Commons, and then we might go out to Henry Sibley or whatever it is, Blaine, Spring Lake Park, maybe Bloomington Jefferson, who always had a good squad, Edina. But when your dad came into picture, what I'm saying, and he said we're going to Chicago and then we're going to South Shore. So now, like I said, unbeknownst to us, we're like Chicago, okay, and which is, we all know as of today is a hotbed as far as seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th graders all the way up through high school, college, and pro. But he's basically readying us to play, which off the subject he brings me to a point. One time we were all, I don't know if he felt we weren't giving us our all, and he said yeah, baby, you guys are all good, you're all good in Minnesota, but you got to be the best in the country. When he said that lit a fire right there. I didn't I you know I'm not disrespecting Minnesota, but at that point in time no one could see me in Minnesota. So what I'm saying, and my team, what I'm saying, I instead of studying in Minneapolis, Washburn and Edina and Bloomington Jefferson, I was on a LA Crenshaw, Chicago Simeon, New York Torrentine, Miami Senior, Atlanta Douglas, Houston Yates. I wanted to play everybody across the country, but when he said that lit a fire.
This would have been before the Chicago trip.
No, this was after.
After the
this
Chicago
after.
trip.
This was after. One time we used to practice bull crap, but I mean, I just jumped to that. But I'm just trying to tell you the elevation. So with us leaving hospitality and going to him, and then yeah, we played in Minneapolis tournament, but when he took us to Chicago, that let me know, because I think I ended up myself individually. I came home with 4 trophies myself. We all had like
From Chicago.
From Chicago, the first
Right.
tournament. So I'm like, oh, this is cool.
So let me ask you a question, because one tournament I remember was the Waterloo trip.
Yes, yeah.
Was that after Chicago?
That was after Chicago, because at that point, we were seventh grade, so we were playing, but we went down to Waterloo, which was a church tournament. Reverend Gaines.
Yep, that was my uncle. Yep.
Yeah, Reverend Gaines and Chris Gaines. Chris Gaines
was my cousin who went to
who at the University of Hawaii.
Right, yep.
Yeah, but anyway, they were like, we went down there. We were holding our own, but we were like, it was a double elimination tournament. Tony Adams, Officer Tony Adams, which Tone, we call him. he was holding it down.
Tone held down that whole
Man,
situation by himself, right?
man, yep, yeah, he was the one that was with us, but they had a whole team full of men. So I think your dad got Derek Nelson, who is Dietrich's
Yep.
older cousin, to get on the bat phone
And with Randy,
with Big Randall Hodges and
yep.
Brett McNeil. They came down, and then it was cool. We were all young, so we weren't tripping about no time. No, we all got into games. We all got into games, but we were able to play. The older guys been talking about we were mixed up, and we ended up winning that tournament. And they would call Tone the Iceman because he was killing them.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question. Was the Waterloo tournament after Chicago? Was that the immediate, from your memory, was that the tournament we played in right after Chicago, or were there other games we had between when you first joined, right, from the Chicago Invitational outside at McRae Park on 46th in Chicago, right?
Right.
Probably one of the first tournaments that I know of
Right.
that had a Chicago team come to Minneapolis
yeah.
and play outdoors.
Yeah, Key Man and that brother Sidney and
Yeah.
Iceman. Yeah. I forgot about the they came up.
Yeah.
But see, another thing too, I don't know if anybody knows. It was like you remember when NWA came out and they got that FBI letter talking about you guys are cussing and we don't want this music out. Well, the state of Minnesota sent your dad a letter saying you have assembled an all-star team. I don't even know if you got that letter or remember it. And they basically kicked us out of Minnesota.
Mr. Sims said something about that in a Star
Yeah.
Tribune article.
Yep, they kicked us out of Minnesota, so we couldn't play in none of the Metro League tournaments. I'm talking about the whole Metro, from Coon Rapids down to Rochester. We were outlawed, banned, which lit a fire under your dad again. So he got the right and trying to get sponsorship and all that. And next thing I know, we're in Wisconsin every weekend. And when we had like the breaks and all that, we'd be in Louisiana, Los Angeles, Vegas, Dallas.
Let's talk about that.
We were so good. I think we won like the first in October. We won like the first 3 or 4 tournaments. Yeah, that's what it was. We started. We won like the first. We dominated, like wiped everybody out, and then that's when he got that letter. I don't know who sent it to him, but that's what started that.
So, coming back to was the first tournament you played in was
Chicago.
with McRae was when we went to Chicago.
Chicago,
Do you recall what was the second tournament you played in?
I'm thinking,
was it Waterloo?
It might have been Waterloo, yeah.
Okay.
That was a mixture of everything because Brett and them guys were still in, they were like sophomore.
Yeah.
So I think they went on and played, high school, obviously. And then we started our season with the, if I remember right, we started our, season where we jumped in a little bit later because that would have been summer, July or August, summer. Yeah. We jumped into the school year. Brett and them went on and played the high school. So then we
You became the older team.
We became the 7th graders. Yeah.
So, question. How I thought this might be rewinding because I got all the information over here down the hallway. But in 1983, or was it 82?
I think it was 83. Oh,
y'all went to Monroe, Louisiana.
Yeah.
And you won the AAU national tournament.
We've been reminiscing and catching up on a whole bunch of stuff, so it's been great, man.
It feels good to get our brother back. We've been through a lot. You just kind of realize how much you love your brother,
We're live with Marc Riley, the encyclopedia of the McRae All-Stars. We'll be right back.